Nothing better going on. You know Hot Fuzz? I live there. I
Wait, isn't that
literally live where they.
Cornwall?
I literally live where they filmed Hot Fuzz.
Okay. Frantically searching on Google, where did they film Hot Fuzz?
I live between Hot Fuzz and Glastonbury Festival. Literally bang in the middle.
All I
I live in
remember
Field
from
and
Hot
Somerset.
Fuzz is nobody cared about that place. So I
care about the movie though. It slaps. It's a documentary.
Oh yeah, the movie is great. Wait, it's a documentary. Wow. Do you know the people who died? Wait, spoilers for Hot Fuzz, I guess. But
everybody dies. Wait, I think anyone actually dies during the movie, right? I think they're all like they're all like fine at the end.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Like people. Oh no, yeah. No, I'll spoil it. I'll spoil the movie. I actually forgot about that scene. Yeah, okay.
You forgot about the scene where they get their guns out and they start shooting.
Okay. None of the people that get shot die.
I
think that those people actually technically all live, but yeah, the guy that gets impaled via what you call it, via the like the church, and the lady that gets like secretary, and the dude that gets his house blown up. It's all coming back to me now, as well as like the kids at the beginning. But because I was just thinking about the scenes where like the old people go on like the shooting spree, and I think that they all technically live because they get like arrested at the end or whatever, like a Happy Kids movie. The reason that we're glossing over Champ Select right now, where we're at, is because Hot Fuzz, it's not a spoiler, it's been out for 14 years. Is because the draft has already been done. You know, they went ahead and sort of pre-agreed on the draft beforehand in a little thing we like to call pro-draft. And this was to make sure we don't have any, weird proxy picks coming on through, as we see up here on the screen. It's already been done. And this was the order of picks. So we got that blue one, Ezreal, out of the way. That's a pretty power pick. Hang about, wait, Gwen made it through to second rotation?
There you
and
go.
Just a B4 Gwen?
Look, Doctor, at the end of the previous game, you were talking about, we're not always going to be seeing the B1 Gwen. They don't think people are going to pick it. But, Cocaine. Wait, I swear you said something along those lines.
I said that, we don't have to be too worried about we're not going to be seeing the B1 Ezreal Gwen Viegos
of
the world. And here I am.
UAL listened to you. They're like, it's fine. There's going to be no like B1 Gwen. And to be fair, there wasn't a B1 Gwen. It was a B4 Gwen. But we got an Ezreal.
B4.
I don't know if the Ezreal was the first pick for...
It was. That was a B1 Ezreal.
So SNW listening to you, they're like, right, okay, notes from Doctor's Cast. Pick Ezreal, Gwen, tick, Viego. Okay, no, we're gonna ban the Viego. It's perfect. It's all coming together for them.
Yeah, it all sort of lines up at the end. I mean, I strongly see a world where we're out here banning Wukong, but not Gwen, right? The thing is, Wukong like Malphite hard counters Wukong. That's like the counter. That was the OG counter when everyone in China was spamming Wukong when he like first got reworked, and they were like, "Wait, we can just lock Malphite into it, and it's just free low."
When was the Malphite picked?
R3. See there. Final pick from the red side.
Into Malphite? Doesn't Malphite counter Gwen?
I'm not 100% sure on the specifics of the matchup, but I think it's probably like you'd feel like Malphite does, but then Gwen's OP. But also the Gwen. At this point, would technically still be a flex. You could flex the top, send it mid, potentially jungle and send the Diana mid as well. So you would have had a couple of options. And actually, no, you pick the Aurelia at the same time, but that still keeps all those same flex options open. But you're always sending the Gwen versus the Malphite because Aurelia and Diana don't have a great time versus him. So
now I want to talk about this mid lane matchup, and I want to talk about the matchup with this story because it's looking to be Aurelia versus Heimerdinger. So back when I started playing League. And I was terrible. To be fair, I still am terrible. So, just like I am now, I had a flatmate who used to play Dota. Now, he played... Exactly. At this time, I didn't really understand that, so I didn't make those kind of noises. I was just like, oh, cool. So, he was also one trick on League, and he played Heimerdinger. He was also bad at League like me, because he didn't really play much. And we used to do a few 1v1s, and I would keep on losing because Heimerdinger exists. So that was the very first time I ever went online and I checked for counters on a champion. And I was like, what counters Heimerdinger? And Yi popped up. And I was like, Yi, cool. So I used to just alpha strike between his towers and kill him. Why is this relevant? Because Aurelia can blade search between towers and it's like somewhat similar.
Yeah, but it's not because she
It's
doesn't
not.
one-hit the towers. Her Q goes on cooldown, and then she gets wiped in the middle of 4 turrets when she gets stunned, and the rocket wave comes on top of her, and she just pseudo-woodos her way on in. So, like, yes and no, you know.
Yeah. So what you're saying is the Aurelia isn't really a counterpicking to the Heimerdinger.
No, she gets what some may describe as aggressively clowned on. And
Okay.
speaking of clowns,
The Shaco?
I was going to say us, but that works too.
Okay.
Shaco.
Should we start getting the makeup out and filling the clown meme where we like slowly
Bro, I've got
become
it. I got it ready on the daily. I'm always prepared.
So was that it then? Was that the entire I forget the term, the switch? Just like do you know clowns? Do you like clowns? And then
You're
it's
like
just
clowns. Could go on about the B movie for quite some time. I'll tell you now, it is canonically confirmed by the writers that Freddie Benson from iCarly is the biological son of Barry B. Benson from the B movie. That one is canon. So you
I've
have
never
to,
seen
you really have
iCarly,
to
so
put
this
some
has just
respect.
gone over my head.
Well, I'll tell you now, Freddie in iCarly is not a B,
Okay.
but he does share the last name with that main character.
the the only thing I really remember from the B movie is how it started, because after that start, it was then a downhill run, which it starts off with, it is scientifically impossible for a bee to fly, but the bee
Not
flies
true,
anyway
because they do fly.
Yeah, exactly. So
Well, that's a
it's
common misconception about the bee, is that many people will often quote this line that bumblebees should not be able to fly, but they still do. But the people, the guy that like originally said that bumblebees shouldn't be able to fly, as I understand it, it was like, if you look at their like wingspan compared to their mass in a vacuum, it doesn't really check out. But there's a lot of other factors in play, like currents and wind speeds and so on and so forth, drag that benefit the bumblebee.
It's pretty pointless to kind of examine it in a vacuum, because if you try to flap your wings in a vacuum, there's no real air to push you up. So to be honest, I don't think
that's probably why they found that.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
that's probably why they said it. That's probably why they said it.
These guys probably like put a bee into a vacuum chamber. They're like, see, it doesn't fly.
It doesn't fly.
I told you, Jim, this bee is useless.
This bee's broken. You may also note that Aurelia just dashed into the middle of 3 turrets and lost half her health, so I feel validated. Vindicated.
This was the matchup you were talking about, right?
See, look at that! You Q in, you lose half your health. Doesn't work out.
Okay,
There needs to be a Beekeeper Heimerdinger skin. We got the Dragon one, we need the Bee one now.
Beekeeper Heimerdinger. Do I want to see that? I'm gonna go with no. I don't know why.
Why not? You don't want Bee Heimer. He throw out like it works because his stun grenade would be like honey, and be sticky, and it explains why people are stuck in.
Get stuck by honey, and then all of a sudden an Udyr comes running out like, honey.
Ooh, yum 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 yum. Yeah, like a Volley Bear pop up as well. Like everyone's getting involved.
What's this cast degraded to? Is this how Medi feels?
You know, you get a Pantheon would turn up as well, and I'm gonna say Pantheon because he's like based on like Greek, and they do like honey.
Like honey?
Yeah, Greek yogurt and honey. That's a combo.
Yeah.
That's OG. Look, I lived with a Greek housemate for like 3 years, and once upon a time I brought some homemade honey. My dad keeps bees, hence why I'm so knowledgeable about them. Okay. And she said, "Can I have some?" And I said, "Sure." And I meant like 2 spoons, and the whole thing was gone. It was like entire like tub of honey, which is gone in like a week. I'm like, "Woman,
it sounds
what's
like
up?" And
experience.
It was. I wanted that honey, and then she said, "I can't help it. I'm Greek." And I was like, "To be fair, I did give you this knowing that you eat yogurt for breakfast like every single day."
Well, that's a good dredge line out from the North. Just keeping himself alive. But to be honest, I think at the end UAL thought, you know what, we want to keep the B fort going. But we are getting very close to some kills on the Rift at the moment. And actually, in the top lane, we've got a very sizable CS lead starting to form from the Gwenas.
Wait, mid lane.
And Irelia! No!
Couldn't bear to see it.
No, couldn't
think of how hurt his beast would be.
It wasn't safe for our viewers. That was
really wasn't.
But it's what you said. You dash in, you you get stunned, and then you get slapped up by a Heimerdinger. And I'm pretty sure that's how the Irelia died.
His hair kind of looks like a beehive, I'm gonna say it.
Yeah, it looks like a beehive.
So I can see why a bee would get
beehives I've
confused.
seen.
A bee might get confused. It's yellow. It's got that like honeycomb shade. Bees get stuck in hair very easily. All right,
Bees
they
get
got little.
stuck in my house very easily. Doesn't mean Heimerdinger's hair looks like my house.
Well, I don't know what your house looks like. Your house looks like a beehive? Because you might. Oh, hang about.
We got a dead Malphite in the top lane. Diana will fall it and execute. No, it's not. Show him pick up the kill. And he's going to be missing out on a lot of CS by him. I mean, the Malphite, he's got teleport. But that's still a rather large chunk of minions that did end up falling under the tower.
Ooh.
Need to be careful there, mate.
Tell you what, yeah, you are not wrong that without that teleport, he would be missing out on a lot of CS. Fortunately, he has it, so he's going to secure that for himself. But if he gets another death, not able to teleport back, then I don't think he's going to be buzzing about that one.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you could please on the Twitch chat, give us some film suggestions that we can meme and reference, because I think you guys might be starting to get tired of all of the
clearly in no short supply of bee knowledge and trivia.
You know, there we go. Viewers in the chat, you can let us know if you want more Dr. B trivia.
They got Velcro legs.
They have what?
Yeah. That's how their legs work. They're like basically like Velcro, which is where they get stuck in hair really easily.
Okay.
Kind of a thing. It's good to know if you didn't.
So, you know, if you ever have like bee Velcro strap-ons on your shoes as a child, that is a scientifically accurate. Yeah.
Well, you didn't have bee Velcro strap-ons on your shoes. Diana, can you not? I'm trying to. Can we not have a fight here, please? Okay, thank you.
Yep. Good disengage from the Irelia. You know, Vanguard's edge out for now.
Guy.
However, we're going to have to hold that because the Nautilus is looking. He's, you know, underwater and hiding. He's in the... I guess the brush in the river is technically an underwater brush.
He is an astronaut in the ocean, it's true.
Yeah. Submarine Nautilus. Next.
Tell you what, I made a meme referencing that. So this astronaut in the ocean, and I did not bang. It has to be said. I did not get enough likes on that one relative to just how funny it was, trust me. I did get ratioed, it's true. Trust me, it was really funny.
It just wasn't that funny.
No, that could not be the case. There's no shot that I'm not hilarious. That's not possible. It must have been some sort of glitch. I must have got a Stack Overflow error. You know, I got 2.147 million likes in it.
Okay. It was just so many that it went back around and then back to zero. I think the only time I've heard of that was, I think it's a Civ meme or something that you could take Gandhi, give him like a massive boost, and then he becomes the most aggressive warlord that ever existed or something like that. So.
Yeah, because you'd get like a Stack Overflow, so he was set to be as unaggressive as possible to the point where if you lowered his aggression by giving him like a present or something, it would like overflow.
Malphite's aggression because he's going in with an ultimate, forces the flash out, arcane comet, not enough to pick up the kill.
He's getting there. He's working on it. Having said that, he's not working on it for long because this is one scaling Gwen.
It is a scaling Gwen.
You're getting there. You are getting there if you're Gwen. So you're like, oh, I have to blow a flash. Whatever, I'm going to come back with for like one bang you at some point. And you do have to be a little bit spooked about that one if you're Malphite. You know, he has gone for a bit of a more aggressive setup with things like the Comet. But, you know, once Gwen gets the Riftmaker in, that poke coming out from that Comet isn't really going to do anything anymore. And suddenly you're just going to be minced through with that true damage snippety snip.
And that's... Because what's the other rune that Malphite takes, isn't it? Grasp of the Undying?
Yeah, you can go Grasp, you can go PTA if you're an actual Chad. That genuinely is a reasonable choice in some situations. You can go Unsealed Spellbook, you can go Aftershock if you really want to play for the team fight, but you do find yourself with a couple of options here and there.
Now, that Gwen will be scaling into an absolute monstrosity, and it's going to be interesting team fights later. You've got the Irelia with the Vanguard's edge. First Rick has actually already been secured by the side of UAL. We got our next one in 2.5 minutes. As the flawless, UAL is pretty much flawless. Vanguard's edge. The Irelia forced to Blade Surge out to safety, and that's
Yeah.
just the power that the Heimerdinger can bring. Instant, well, burst, really.
Yeah, and that's sort of how we expected that to go for the Aurelia, but actually that's going better than average. Oh, but the flash is still burnt, and now you have to flash out of jungle as well.
Yeah, but is it flashing from the frying pan into the
Oh.
fire? The Paranoia in, picks up the kill for UAL. Dredgeline, pretty much under tower, but not quite. There's a T will survive. Ezreal making his way up, throwing out a couple of mystic shots, but they won't be able to connect them to any of the members of the Coke Ain't Diet.
Not quite finding anyone out there, but still picking up that kill in the mid lane. Always nice as, again, Malphite forced to ult away for safety, and now potential action on mid, but, you know, with the stun already being used, Blade Surge not really want to be thrown too far in there, and I mean, if the Heimerdinger ever has his ult, we saw a bit of a, you know, misplay earlier going for the rockets, because you just drop down the turret. Or you drop the rockets and angle them in a way that they cut off her escape as well, which is not really what we saw in the mid lane. You know, last time they traded the ultimates. But you see here, look, you dash on in, and then the turrets take you out. Even if the stun had connected, it's still a huge amount of DPS being thrown down by that there Heimerdinger. And Aurelia can sustain up through it, you know, with the Vamp Scepter that she currently has, but not if she keeps taking fights this often.
I know there were a few memes going around in Reddit not too long ago. Hold on. True shot barrage snipes down Pacific. And Jen is able to pick up the kill, the second for Coke Ain't Diet. And regarding that Aurelia, I know there were some stuff going around about, you know, Aurelia with a Vampiric Scepter being the most powerful thing in all existence. But
is her full build. Like, she's full build with a Vamp Scepter in top lane, that's true.
Meanwhile, Heimerdinger just says, "You what?" and proceeds to going on about life as normal.
Oh, no. Let's make this very clear. This is a Vamp Scepter is full build, but you see, if you're just not taking these trades as the Aurelia, the thing with Heimerdinger is he can't actually do anything. Like, you have to run into him for things to happen. So if you're the Aurelia, you can just trade waves. But because we see that Aurelia's trying to make these trades happen, that's when she's losing half her health. But the Vamp Scepter will help her heal it back up. It just shouldn't really be being lost in the first place. Like that Q, you don't have to go in on that Q there when it's going to make you take, you know, that many autos from a turret. You just wait, let the minions get as low as possible, and then you stack up your passive at the same time. You know, prep the minions so you can Q multiple ones, and look at that. You're going to get all these creeps without having to have thrown yourself on in. Yes, it's going to cost you some prio for this Drake, but that's kind of how Heimerdinger works. You'll have to wait for Diana and maybe Nautilus to turn up if you want to do something about it.
Speaking of Nautilus turning up, drops down a ward. Drake down to 1,000 HP. Will the skill come through? The Nocturne goes in, or pardon me, Diana goes in. Very low. Paranoia now coming through. And it will just allow the members of UAL to disengage up, picking up the kill.
And the teleport being expended by Malphite as well. That one's not going to feel too great. He's already down in CS, already having a bad time. And here we see Gwen actually being the one to come into mid lane to help out Aurelia, just with alleviating some pressure. But the Rift Herald has been deployed down in the bottom lane. UAL picking up those plates, maybe looking for a fight.
He flashes, he waits for the flash to come through, and then he uses the ultimate. A clean pickup on to the Ezreal. And now the first tower of the game will fall. Coke Ain't Diet, they're not going to let that happen. They're looking for the collapse. UAL very smartly decide to back away.
Yeah, nice one for UAL, making the most of the situation whilst they have all those members on that side of the map. Go ahead, put down the Herald, deploy the turret. They don't manage to take down the whole tower. Again, dropping the Herald a little bit early, but, you know, they're trying to force the play quickly, not trying to spend time sitting around taking out plates first before throwing down that massive, you know, was it a scuttle crab type dealy. However, whilst that's going on, you can see that a fair bit of CS is being accrued by the Gwen. Not as much as could have been. You think if Gwen just stayed up in top lane the whole time, whoo, you'd have like 2-3 plates going on you, like 2-level lead. But instead, they opted to try and just help out their mid laner, alleviate some pressure in the Heimerdinger matchup, and whether or not that pays off, we'll sort of have to see.
That kind of mentality, Doctor, is why people don't like top lane mains like you. You know, you just want to be on your island, and then when you're on your island, you complain about people not coming and saying hi on your island, but you want to stay on your island, and you just can't make a decision.
Bro, I'm a jungle man.
I
people just
swear.
don't like. People just don't like me. Period. Like.
Oof.
Not
the
just
stealth
in
bros,
League.
That's a rare one. I swear, last time you were telling me about some Mordekaiser stuff you were doing. No, was it Mordekaiser?
I was telling you about some Nasus tech. That was Nasus. That was Nasus mid.
True.
Still tech.
Yeah.
But yeah, I main jungle, but I still keep my eye on things. I have many irons in many fires.
I mean,
To keep an eclectic knowledge.
You're a coach, so I should hope you have that eclectic knowledge, as you so put it.
But I'll tell you now, as a coach, I got a grand total of 1 win across 2 leagues.
Was that the game that I happened to be casting, or did you lose that game?
Was it Lucendi?
No, it was. I
Oh well, there was the
7 AM
qualifiers.
Academy. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So yeah, we won games in the qualifiers, but in the actual closed circuit, we did not win a single game. We came, however, 7th out of 8 because another team rage quit in the last week because they were like, you know, it doesn't matter if we win or lose, so they quit. And then we actually got the 7th place just for playing our last game and going 0-8. It was pretty progress. Or 0-7, sorry.
I mean, impressive win to be fair.
0-7 AM, let's go. Pretty good.
Oh my god. I'm sure that probably got referenced at some point. However,
many times. Like, I don't speak Dutch, but like many times.
Well, you know, taking Schalke 04 to a whole nother level.
Yeah, they are nothing compared to us. But...
However, on the contrary, flash over the wall, Dredgeline not quite going to be able to connect. The Heimerdinger will survive. But contrary to 7AM's performance anyway, I think you're not quite 0-4. I think you're more like 3-1 in this cast anyway, you know, with all of the B information that we've been getting.
Did somebody say B information? I'm ready.
B information, no. We were talking in hindsight over fantastic B information. And now we're going to
in hindsight. It's in the past.
It's in the past.
Not anymore.
We're actually going to be moving on now to everyone's new favorite animal, the wasp.
Ah, yes.
However,
wasps are cringe. Everyone knows this.
Yeah, everyone hates wasps.
Bees are poggies. Wasps cringe.
It's the same kind of difference as like a ladybird and a beetle. Like ladybirds, I'll let like crawl up my hand and be like, oh look, it's a cute ladybird. Or like a butterfly and a moth. Like I'll hold a butterfly, but I see a moth, I'm like, get off my hand. Like
moths are cringe. It's true. I hate moths. I don't think they look that bad or anything. They're just so unpredictable. They move in such like a erratic way. Yeah. You know?
What?
So janky.
You mean when they circle your light like 25,000 times, not knowing what they want to do?
Yeah. It's whack. It's like, you know, when they... Oh, actually. It's like, you know how Five Nights at Freddy's, like, they're scary because they move in, like, glitchy ways? That's how moths are.
I've not seen that. In fairness. But paranoia is also scary. But never mind. This was a nightmare. It was an empty nightmare. It was like, I'm going to be scary, but no, it's just to take a drink.
It's like when you wake up and you're scared, but you don't remember the dream.
I've never actually had that.
I've never had that with nightmare, but I have that all the time with like normal dreams, you know?
You know, once I had a dream that I really enjoyed, and I told people about it, and then I forgot it. But then I actually remembered the dream. I was like, wow,
oh, good.
It is actually possible to remember a good dream. So, yeah,
He's done it.
Magic does exist. Fairy tales are real. However, we have a Rift Herald being started up, and UAL, I would like to say, are being a bit greedy. You know, they've got 5 kills, they've got a 2k goal lead, they've got 3 Drakes, and now they're looking for the Rift Herald as well. And we're going to be getting a fight on top of it all. The action really packing up here in the semi-finals, and it will be going the way of Coke Ain't Diet. They take 4 kills, a 4-1, and clearly they've been drinking up their Pepsi.
Grabbing away an absolute ton of gold there. Was it worth it for UAL? Well, probably not. Grabbing that Herald up for 4 kills. And now, what are we thinking? What are we going to be doing with that gold? Let's see if we can't try and knock down this mid tower, this bot tower. Really start to take control of the map if you are Cocaine Diet, because you do need to be a bit worried about that soul spawning in 3 minutes.
3 minute time for the soul, and it's the side of UAL can secure that. Well, Malphite's certainly going to be a lot tanky. I don't know if it's going to be able to help the other members of UAL as much, but at the end of the day, the soul is the soul.
Soul for a soul, not really a trade that can be made in League of Legends as well as it can be on Vormir, but...
On what?
It's an Avengers reference.
Oh.
You know, he goes to like the planet Vormir, and they're like, a soul for a soul. And then, spoiler alert, cover your ears, you ain't seen this movie. He yeets his own daughter.
Oh, is that... Yeah, that happened.
Gamora was the name of the daughter, as I'm being asked by production.
Yeah.
Man thinks... Do you honestly think that I don't know these kinds of things, Epsilon? I've been out here absolutely chatting it about 17 different topics, and you think that I'm not going to know the name? There's a bit of a kerfuffle going on up in top lane.
Yeah, Gwen trying to trade onto the Varus, but that ain't going to work. It's a 2v1, and it's not Varus and a useless support alongside. It's Varus and a Malphite. And Malphite, well, guess what? He can go unstoppable and knock you up. The Gwen gets knocked up and proceeds to perish shortly after.
Yeah, you got to be a little bit careful on Gwen. Sometimes you can feel like you're a lot more invincible than you actually are. When you start taking fights inside your Shroud is really when it starts to go downhill. You know, the Shroud, you can attack a frontliner and not be worried about the backline, but what you can't really do is jump into the middle of two people, one of those being a Malphite who then knocks you up and you get chain CC'd and die. All inside the Shroud. Like, that's when it sort of doesn't really work out. And Malphite does have a good time versus versus Gwen in that regard. That, you know, he's always going to hit his CC. Is not going to be blocked by the Shroud because he's going to be in melee range when it lands, right? So that one works out pretty nicely. And if you are UAL, you're pretty happy with that. Your cooldowns, they're going to be up and about and available in time for this Mountain Drake up in 1 minute, which is really the focus for both these teams right now.
And considering that the gold is very, very even as well, it should be a close battle for the Drake. Two towers to 1. You can see some of the gold discrepancy. 2,500 gold lead in the ADC department. That's a big lead for Crossfire, and he's been able to pick up a Duskblade due to it.
Yeah, getting an absolute ton of moolah down there, and almost finishing up that Muramasa as well. Not going to have that one in time for the Drake fight, however. But getting some resets off with that Duskblade could work out pretty nicely. Vision control has already been secured in the area for UAL, but you can see that Coke Ain't Dire have made their way around through the bot side, avoiding all of the turret sets up from the Heimerdinger.
And when you look for the engage in this ensuing fight, you need to be looking at that Malphite, that unstoppable force right in on to the Ezreal, right in on to Gwen. Barrage hitting 4 members. The Nautilus is so low, he's not really going to be able to tank up this fight as Gwen steps forward. Use the Hallowed Mist just to be able to buy some time. Drake recess. Gwen super low. There's a Paranoia. The Nocturne goes in. Flawless Duet will be able to find somewhat of a knock-up. Now the turnaround, the Vanguard Zedge comes through, but so much damage from the Karma Soul Flare turns things back around in favor of UAL. It's a 4v2 scenario, but the Gwen is still alive, so is the Ezreal, and the Ezreal can keep on poking out Mystic shots. The issue is they're being tanked by towers. Heimerdinger down to 1 HP. Now it's practically a 2v3 because the Heimerdinger needs to back and teleport back into the fray. Piercing arrow not going to be able to.
Jake's getting low.
Yes, when going in, the jungler is down for SNW, and the Nocturne will be able to smite it down. And now stepping forward, piercing arrow not quite onto Kanda. He's just looking to step out of this one, fire out the missing shots. Where are you going to step? You can't sidestep anywhere, but somehow the arrow misses its mark. And how the Ezreal is alive, I do not know.
That's because of some mind games coming out from the Ezreal there. Doesn't dodge the first one at all, and then hits a bit of a custom juke on the second to get out alive. But That Mountain Drake still being secured by UAL off the back of that fight. We saw the Gwen walking up, using the cooldowns, using the mist to try and clear out the turrets to create some threat, but then not finishing off all the turrets and not respecting the fact that their cooldowns are now down. You have to back off, and that is when the opportunity is seized by UAL. Send in that Nocturne ult and get that big combo of the Soulflare Mantra Q, as well as the Malphite ult right on top of it. Adds up loads of damage, secures that dragon, and now UAL might be thinking about turning this one in towards a potential Baron. They haven't got the best setup in the world, but they could also look to try and collapse here inside the enemy jungle.
One of the issues I feel with the previous fight that hopefully they adjust on for this next fight is using the Gwen to try to poke out UAL. You got an Ezreal. Put the Ezreal towards the front. Fire out those Mystic shots. You've got an Arcane Shift if you do get a little bit too antsy with your positioning. At least that's how I kind of see it anyway. And for now, Dredge Life not quite going to land onto the Nocturne.
Not quite, but it's not the longest cooldown in the world. Give that one another go in just a minute whilst Heimerdinger tries to grab a bit of prior. But this is not the time to go for blue buff, mate. Oh, lordy, this one's a bit of a dangerous one. People are going to know that he's not here when those turrets deactivate. If SNW walk up and see that, then it could be very risky for UAL, but it looks like he's actually getting away with it. There's both sides backing away here in the mid lane.
Poor Heimerdinger picked up his blue buff, as you mentioned, and now he's going to be able to make his way back to the mid lane. He's still got teleport available as well if he wanted to get a quick reset off, but for now he's actually pathing towards the bottom side of the map. And both mid laners will be side laning, and we might be getting a 4v4 starting. Diana, you want to be rejoining this fight, and I think the Gwen is just being fed to the walls here, or more specifically, fed to the rock, as Shoen picks up the kill.
Okay, but what can we turn that one into? It looks like Baron is, well, the answer. Now being started up by UAL. Aurelia and Heimerdinger both on the bottom side of the map. I think they'll both be trying to cancel the other's recall, the other's teleport if it goes through. So this is just a 4v3.
This is indeed an easy 3 for the side of SNW. Do they want this? The teleport has come in from the Heimerdinger. The Nautilus has already fallen. That's a 3-man Diana ultimate, and now it's a 2v3 scenario. The Vanguard's edge comes through, but Aurelia has the 1v2. The Ionian Fervor is stacked, and now the Aurelia sees the Heimerdinger and will get revenge for the laning phase. Picks up the ace, and now turns towards the Baron, but you're not going to be able to do that one on your own. And Aurelia will just have to take her winnings and recall, but never mind, Gwen has joined the party.
And they do have a fair bit of sustain between the two of them, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. So Aurelia without a stacked up passive. You see, yeah, they're both going to back away. Let's wait for the tanks to turn up and see if we can't try this one again, because that was a good job cleaning up that fight, dissuading UAL. Even though UAL, they had the advantage there. They had the one-man advantage. They engaged the fight with the Paranoia, and their teleport came through faster because I think that Coke didn't actually know that Heimerdinger had TP'd in until after the Paranoia ended. But because his TP was so far away and Aurelia's was so much closer to the actual fight, SNW are able to turn around that overcommitment and defend the Baron for now.
So my question to you is, if Aurelia and Heimerdinger were both in that fight, would it have turned out better for UAL or better for SNW?
Well, it's so hard to say with the Heimerdinger, right? Because it's very situational. It all depends on how he's getting his setup, in any game, in any moment. If he's there and he's set up his towers from day one and there's no way for SNW to enter or maybe exit, depending on how you look at the fight, then obviously UAL are going to have a banging time. But if he's just sort of like waltzing on in with no turret set up and none in his pocket, then he's a pretty useless champion in that regard sometimes. So it's all about the setup with the Heimerdinger. And this time they're both on the bot side of the map without TPs. And I think that is pretty favorable for Coke Ain't Diet, to be honest. At this point, there's so much sustain for Aurelia that she can just clear out the waves and tank it up a little bit. And it doesn't matter that Heimerdinger will push in first and have priority because he's not TPing out.
However, we do have something rather spicy, and that is an Elder Drake. And while Cocaine Diet have been able to somewhat forfeit the first 4 Drakes and forfeit the Mountain Soul in the
part of the plan.
process of that. Exactly, it's all part of the plan. Earlier Elder Drake, and if the side of Cocaine Diet can pick that up, that could be a huge opportunity for them to turn this game into their favor. It's already somewhat starting to turn into their favor after that previous Baron fight.
Oh, could be a bit of a caught out Diana. Oh, and there it is. And there she's gone now. Is Nocturne looking for any more? Yes, he is.
He's going right on in, bottom lane. They find the Aurelia, and they will shut her down. Now there's no pesky Aurelia. There's no jungler for SNW. UAL, surely this is the Elder for them. I can't see any way for this to be stolen from the side of SNW.
Now that's what they want you to think. Here we get a well-placed Nautilus ult. Gwen comes on in over the wall with the fully stacked up Q, but doesn't look like it's going to be happening. Slow and steady on that ultimate from Nocturne, but Malphite's going over. Ooh, the burn. Ooh, the heal. Oh, there it is.
There. Leo picks up the kill, and it is the pesky Heimerdinger, courtesy of the...
Yeah,
that was Leandri's.
That was the... Yeah, the red buff knocking her into lethal range, and then the Leandri's burn proccing the Elder burn, and then the last like tick of the Elder burn taking her down. That was a lot of things needed to go wrong there for Gwen, but they went pretty right for Heimerdinger, picking up that kill, picking up the Baron as well, and now suddenly, you know, a lot of cards going in favor of UAL.
UAL, Mountain Soul, Elder Drake, 5k goal lead. And that Elder will be on them for the next couple of minutes. What can they find with it? Because at the moment, all of the inner towers are standing.
I mean, probably like a Nexus, right? That would be sort of my assumption. We've got a Varus, a Malphite, and Nocturne. We want to engage a fight, we're engaging a fight. You know, and so I think UAL at this point can genuinely just sort of look for the ARAM angle. However, right now, they are actually wasting a fair bit of time on both these buffs. You know, by having Heimerdinger setting up waves in the bot lane and going off and finishing up that Guardian Angel for Nocturne, which is all well and good, but essentially, if they go fast, they can force a fight, and then if they die and one person lives, they can just force another one right after. But with this amount of time, they only really now have one attempt at trying to get as much as they can from this Baron and Elder before they expire. And maybe that means they don't get past the inhibitors.
And speaking of going fast, you've got a Karma with the Shurelius as well. And if you want to get your Malphite and Varus in range of landing that critical CC, it becomes that little bit easier. But right now, side of UAL focusing in the bottom lane. Don't forget UAL took down YIA to get into the semi-finals and they crack open the base in one of semis in front of you right now. That's the movement speed buff. Side of UAL move on over to the mid lane inhibitor towers. They look to crack open the base from a second foot.
Yeah, should be able to grab this one pretty easily. Still having that Elder, and honestly, a misstep here could mean a Malphite. Oh, if they want to look for it, but UAL will be backing off instead. They can end the game here if they want to try it, and the thing is they're not risking anything. Like, if they die, there's no Baron up. The waves are all pushed in. They're not losing a Baron, an Elder, an Inhib, anything like that. But UAL, you know, probably somewhat reasonably are going to play this one out a little bit slower. However, SNW might disagree.
Look how much damage came through from the Soul Flare. That's a big moonfall for the Nocturne going into the fray. Leo onto a rampage. And that's going to be the Aurelia diving on in, doing so much work, flashes away, but will eventually fall. Now it's a 3v3 scenario. The Nautilus are down to about 1 HP. Piercing arrows are flying. What would you rather have? Varus piercing arrows or the Ezreal Mystic shot? Also Arcane shift out to safety, and UAL, they're not done just yet. They're going to keep on pushing forward.
See just how much they can get. Health bars being refilled up in that fountain, but you see Gwen has to stop to deal with these supers. So the inhib is secured by UAL, and just channeling the recalls in the enemy base. That could be actually a little bit too much disrespect as Gwen dodging out the chains of corruption. Let's see if it matters. The Cyrilda slows stacking up onto Malphite, but should be able to get himself out and away with that unstoppable force. And I think UAL are out relatively scot-free.
The great escape from UAL. They get everything they want. 3 inhibitors. It is just the Nexus Towers remaining for SNW. But we are getting a glimpse, Doctor, at what SNW can do if fights fall into their favor. What the Irelia can put out in terms of damage if you can stack up the passive and then just start dashing onto the backline. And again, that Moonfall, if it gets the right number of people, if it gets the right people, it is so impactful.
And absolutely, we saw just like picking up 4 members with it, but at the same time, it was still a 1 fight for UAL, right? That's one of the better fights that Cocaine Diet are going to get, and it wasn't enough. Now, it's not quite as coordinated as they would have liked. Maybe they can try and find that kind of fight where someone is split off instead of just going into the 5 members like that, but ultimately, that was one of their best bets, and a little bit more coordination, sure. Maybe it helps, but they have a lot of sustained damage with burst engage.
SNW want the engage, they use the depth charge, and it's on the Malphite. They try to burst out the tank, but you're not going to do that against a Mountain Soul on the mountain itself. And Chain Destruction come through. Some ultimates have been used. That's the Paranoia being used by Pacific. He goes in, dash away from the Ezreal. The Mystic shots are coming through. The Hallowed Mist are buying time. Irelia trying to go in. 3-man Moonfall. The Vanguard's edge is big, and it is a 4v4. Make that a 4v3. Back to a 3v3. Diana throws out a Crescent Strike, but that is all 3 members now push in, and it is only Gwen left standing. No ultimate up, just a flash and a teleport, and he will not be able to do anything with that. Almost picking up the kill on to the Karma, trying to dash in, but will fall. It's the ace for UAL, and UAL take their first win of the semi-finals.
Ultimately, we got some nice looking engages coming out from Coke Ain't Diet towards the end there, but they just don't have ways to follow up on it, right? You've got Ezreal, you've got